Hi, we're going to try taking on this exercise, which is to take a normal looking face and turn it into a Halloween mask. And we're going to do this in a couple of stages. One is how to size and crop your pictures so they fit the desired specifications. And in this particular case, we're trying to shoot for a 1920 by 1080 pixel graphic. That would be high def 1080p. And second part is how we start blending the elements together to try to make something that looks convincing and realistic. And so we'll start with Photoshop elements and start with an ordinary picture. This picture was a 12 megapixel photo, so it has lots of resolution. So our first stage is dealing with resolution and cropping and not compromising the resolution in the pixels that we have to work with. So in resizing this graphic, if we wanted to take this entire photo and turn it into something that's the desired size, we could go to Image, Resize, Image Size, and take a look and see what the values are. Notice the size of this right now, it's 4,000 pixels by 3,000 pixels. That's about 12 megapixel. But we don't need that many pixels. And if we wanted to reduce it in size, we'd have to make sure Resample Image has been turned on so it gives us access to the dimensions. We want to constrain the proportions, and it's usually left on, so that when we change this number, the height will change accordingly. And so if we put this together and say, okay, let's take it to 1920, it automatically puts in a 1281. And that certainly would get the job done and reduce the size of the graphic. But in this case, we want to use a better tool for this and be selective about what parts we want from the original picture and compose it. So the second way to resize something with a little more precision is to use the crop tool. And the crop tool up at the top, normally it starts with a blank, and if not, you can take it to no restriction. But check the width out up here. 1920. Now careful not just to click into the next field. If you do, it'll automatically set it into whatever the default measurement is, in my case inches, and you get an error message. So if you put a value in there that you want in pixels, put in 1920 px for pixels, hit the tab, and the other value is 1080 px for pixels, and the resolution is for printing purposes, but I'll put in 72 pixels per inch because that's something of a screen standard back in the day. So now we have access to this cropping tool, and with it we can draw the rectangle to take just the parts of the picture that we want. And I know this is high resolution. We're going to throw away a bunch of pixels around the outside and just keep what we want. And I can compose this with a rule of thirds and try to make it look like something that's a little more deliberate. Be careful if you use this cropping tool and your original picture doesn't give you a subset that's 1920 pixels by 1080. It's going to make the picture bigger. That is, it's going to take the pixels and stretch them out, and that's bad. It just makes bigger, blurrier images. If I double click this or hit the check mark, I should see this area shrink in size, and I know that I have clipped away the stuff I don't want and condensed the remaining pixels to the desired specifications. So let's see. I click it, and yeah, sure enough, it shrank a little bit in size, which is good. It means I threw away pixels, and it shrank the pixels together, which makes for a clearer image, actually, than if it was to be stretched big. I like to double click the hand tool at this point in time so I can see the exact frame and all the pixels that I'm collecting here. So this looks like it's going to be a decent composition to get started. That's all there is to getting started with resolution and cropping. Pay attention to the pixel size, and by the way, you'll notice if we went to Image, Resize, and Image Size, now it tells us we have exactly 1920 by 1080 pixels, because that's what the cropping tool did for us. Good luck, that ends phase one.